Alright guys, step 20 is a good one. The short of step 20 is, when you do play a show, come ready. Here's what that means though. When I was 22 years old, I started to make a lot of noise in Pittsburgh, and the positivity vastly outweighed the hate, but there was still hate too. And there's going to be hate, whether you launch a t-shirt company, a coffee company, work at Walmart, or are a DJ. There's going to be people who love you, there's going to be people who hate you, there's going to be people who are indifferent. It's just the way the world works. Here's the thing though. At 22, I was making noise because to a degree it was the right place at the right time in Pittsburgh. I just so happened to really like UK hardcore, happy hardcore, trancecore, a little bit of drum and bass in there, and definitely some hard dance in there. Everything I just explained to you is what made me different from the other. There was really only about 2 other DJs in town that spun UK hardcore. The difference is their set was an hour-long UK hardcore session, which is fine, that's cool. But I was more like DJ Irene. Even though she really didn't spin UK hardcore, she mixed it up a lot, and that's what I like to do. I'd start with UK hardcore, I'd go into drum and bass, I'd usually go back into UK hardcore, and then from there I'd find a natural exit point in a song to slow down the BPM, go into all the hard dance genres, hard house, hard techno, hard trance, and then from there I can either complete the loop by going back into UK hardcore, I could go into trancecore, I could go into freeform, I could go into hard style from hard house, terrorcore, all those weird, crazy, harder genres of EDM, if you will. So, super diverse, you never knew what you were going to get with me. You never knew. Now, aside from that, I mean, that was important, but aside from that, few things working to my advantage. Number one, I had moved into my first apartment, and that house was a complete and utter party house. I don't necessarily recommend that to everybody, but at that time, it's just the way things naturally happened. People were sleeping on my floor, people did not go home, and every single night it was 40s, it was blunts, and young Mikey was learning how to DJ on vinyl, and some nights were good, some nights were bad, but I literally had a crowd in front of me every single night of at least 5 people. Wasn't unusual for it to be 30, and if a full-on house party organically broke out because people made some phone calls and we had 70 people in that apartment, so be it. The point of that is, not only was I learning to become desensitized to having a crowd in front of me, I was learning to become desensitized to having a crowd in front of me while I painfully learned how to DJ. So making mistakes in front of people was not a big deal to me. Secondly, or as big of a deal as maybe others would be who just DJ in their bedroom. Secondly, these people who saw that were ravers in the scene who I had smoked many joints with, many blunts with, had many 40s with, even did Molly with, and candy flipped with, and went to Toronto, and sat on the roof of the McDonald's overlooking Forbes Avenue and talked about life, wrote songs, they came to see my band. The point is there was a connection there. It was, when they'd get a flyer in their hands, oh, come see DJ Serious, that's Mikey. But also what was triggered in their brain was, to a degree, well shit, I was sleeping on Mikey's floor up until last week. Oh, Mikey? Yeah, I love Mikey. Me and him drink 40s together all the time. You know, so there was a backlog of memories from that summer, that fall, and people knew me, even though I was DJ Serious, people knew me as Mikey, and some of them more intimately than others, meaning some people kind of just knew me as DJ Serious, some people knew me as DJ Serious Mikey, some people knew me as Mikey, you know, like Mikey, he sleeps on my couch, I sleep on his floor, you know, I helped him lift his Marshall amplifier into every single venue that his band has ever played. So there's different levels, but the point is there was sort of a fan base there. It wasn't really a sustainable way to build a fan base for my liver and my brain cells, but the point of that is when you're doing local shows and you receive love and hate, it's okay. And here's where things really started to change for me, and I just hope that this provides context for you and really helps you. I was the only one in Pittsburgh at that time. I don't care who combats this, because I'll fight this to the bitter end, because it's just true. I was the only one at that time who had the nerve as a DJ to pass out flyers for my other shows at raves that I was playing. So let's say it's Saturday night, I'm playing tonight at 1 a.m. I'm passing out flyers before 1 a.m. and after 1 a.m. for other shows that I have coming up. So if you like what I did tonight, whether you know me or it's the first time you've seen me, here's a flyer with 3 other shows that I have coming up in the next 2 months. Now here's the workaround. People say, well, you can't promote other events at the event you're at. And I get that that's, it's a gray area. But what I did was I made my own flyers that had a picture of me, my website, and my name next to every single date and what city I was playing in, whether it was Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, whatever. It didn't necessarily list the production company. It didn't necessarily list the name of the rave. It just said April 22nd, DJ Sirius, Cleveland, Ohio. From there, because I didn't technically promote any other event, I just promoted that I was playing a show in Cleveland on April 22nd, as well as 2 or 3 other dates on this flyer that only promoted me, like my MySpace, my website, my picture, nobody else. It seems a little selfish, but it was a way of kind of working around the classic idea of like, well, you can't promote your company at my show. I wasn't promoting anybody's company other than mine. And so it gave people an idea of other shows that I have coming up. So it showed people that I had some stuff going on, and you should probably check this out, because I'm not just, gonna burn out after one show. I've got shows in the works. I've got a few months booked up. But the cool thing about that was I took that from my band days, and I began to realize that not every DJ had the exposure like I did to being in a band. So when you're in a band, you promote your band and your flyers and your merchandise every and anywhere you go to any cute girl who will listen to you, or cute guy, Hey, a sale's a sale, And we love everybody, so who cares? But the point of me saying that is I was the only DJ walking around with t-shirts for sale, branded things for sale, and passing out flyers letting you know that if you liked what I did tonight, come see me again in a week. I'll be in Cleveland. And usually ravers are sort of in that demographic of people that are like, yeah, I'll drive to Cleveland, screw it. So it worked out well. I didn't see any other DJs passing out business cards or promotional materials or having t-shirts for sale. And earlier in the video when I said it was the right place at the right time, it really was, because I was 22, and I was a young 22, and a lot of the people I knew were also 21, 22. They were all candy kids. We were all candy kids. We all loved UK hardcore. We all loved electronic dance music in general, but our go-to was hardcore, happy hardcore. From there, drum and bass, sure, hard dance, sure, loud house DJs like Donald Glod and especially DJ Irene, definitely. So sometimes you just hit that time and place that's kind of hard to pin down or comprehend. Had I spun house music, I probably wouldn't have had the success that I did at that time, because the kids, the young ones, were not looking for house music. They were looking for someone with anime-looking hair, which I had. It was bleached out and silver and blue and pink, and I looked like I was straight out of Fully Cooley, FLCL, and spinning kind of the anime young sound of UK hardcore. I also was a good DJ who did more than just spun an hour of hardcore. I, like I said, did drum and bass and hard dance genres as well, so it was interesting to listen to me. There was a rah-rah kind of feel behind me as the underdog in Pittsburgh that was making it, and people were happy to support me as a result of that, because they had just seen me spin in my apartment for New Year's, or they were crashing on my couch, or we were all in Oakland house party hopping together, and then, later on that night we all passed out in my apartment or whatever. So take from that story what you will, but there's a few good key points there about having connections with people, right place at the right time, which really is very hard to pin down. That just sort of naturally happens. But you know, you can look at what your friends are into and what you're naturally into, and hopefully that all intersects like it did with me. I don't think I could have made a career out of UK hardcore. But it was something that was good for the time, and it created some great memories. Lastly, and this is going to sound very boastful, but you'll see why at the end. I'll kind of twist it on you. I was the only kid playing these raves in Pittsburgh, having other kids come up to me, you know, coming out of their car, 5, 6, 7 kids falling out of a car, coming up to me, Mikey, we drove all the way from Michigan, all the way from Detroit, just to see you tonight in Pittsburgh. Dude, can I have your autograph? I signed so many kids' t-shirts, so many boobs, so many everythings, because, and it sounds funny, I get that, but like it's because of the hard work I was putting in. And to a degree, was my ego inflated by that? Sure. But even more importantly, I realized what I'm doing is working. The passing out of flyers are making it outside of Pittsburgh. The work I'm putting in on MySpace, which was just the social media platform at that time, was working. Not listening to the veterans and their jaded way of, well, I don't spin that kiddie crap. I don't get on MySpace. You know, I keep it real with house music. That's totally fine. But you should have seen some of the looks that I got as a 22-year-old guy, you know, kid, really, signing autographs to a bunch of teenagers that drove all the way from Michigan to see me. You know, there were guys that were in the Pittsburgh scene that had been at it for 10 years at that point, 15 or 20 years, muttering under their breaths, who the hell do I think I am? I didn't ask them to come all the way from Michigan and ask for an autograph, but I sure as hell am not going to turn them away. I'm going to appreciate that. And, you know, hey, there's nothing that says that you can't market the same way too. Why can't you make flyers and pass them out? Why can't you make t-shirts? You can't think of something cool to print up? I mean, at that time, had I had more resources, I straight up would have printed or gotten made like raver binkies that light up with my logo on them or something, or maybe a little ringtone on it that was of a track that I could have gotten made. It's just, in hindsight, you know, you kind of don't know what you don't know. I should have been hiring a producer to help me work out making happy hardcore tracks and releasing them at that time on vinyl, or the early days of Beatport. I didn't have that kind of money, and I didn't realize how things worked back then, and what I could do. Even though I came from a band, and that band obviously had been in the studio multiple times, I never really thought, well, go back to that same studio and get somebody who knows about synths and drum machines to take what you hear in your head and put it on tape, if you will, or on hard drive, and then get it mixed and mastered and put it out. But think about that stuff. You're going to have haters. I mean, I had plenty of haters who did not give me shows, even though it would have benefited them, because by the time a year had rolled around, I was pulling 300 people on my own to shows, because people loved my sound and loved the look and everything that I was doing. It was a complete package that was that worked. But I had a few haters that also spun hardcore, that did little things that just weren't Mikey, and all of those things were just naturally me. I love to dye my hair. I'm not afraid to paint my nails. So when you see a hardcore DJ and he's got anime hair looking like he's out of that old anime Bleach, which is awesome, by the way, check that out. And, you know, every nail is a different pastel or neon glowing color under black light, and he spins your favorite kind of music, versus some guy who also spins hardcore, but just kind of boring, just kind of bland. Doesn't hang out, doesn't party, doesn't have fun hair, isn't funny, doesn't really look the part. And I'm not saying that you have to match that. Like, don't get me wrong. It's just, in that situation, that specific situation, that time in Pittsburgh, that's what it was. That's where I was. So, being at the right place in the right time, not worrying about the haters, and thinking outside of what everybody else is doing. Something as simple as passing out flyers, letting people know that you've got other stuff going on, offering t-shirts, offering house parties. All of these things gave me the launchboard of success that eventually had Florida knocking on my door and got me pretty much the same results in Florida as well, with Hypnotic Productions and Mitch over at Euphoria Project, and which eventually led me into Club Space and signing autographs at Club Space when all I was a contestant in a contest for the Miami New Times. There was always kind of a spark to me, and there was always autographs to be signed after my sets and stuff. But the only reason why I'm bringing that up is because I'm trying to show you that, like, if you think outside of the box and you treat yourself in a certain way and provide the platform for people to think of you in a certain way, they will think of you in that way, and you can leverage that into a fan base. And you really won't even have to leverage it. They'll just be fans. So people know that you have other shows. They know that you're really into the scene. You're for real into it. You love it. You're right there with them. For me, it worked. So think about that and strike on that. I'll talk to you guys later.